Sometimes life breaks you so completely that even hope feels out of reach, until a small act of innocence changes everything. This is the story of a single mom who had lost everything, and her little boy who did something no one could have imagined. He stopped a group of bikers on the road and said, "Please, buy my bike. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." What happened next would restore faith, love, and humanity in ways words can hardly capture. Before we begin, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grateful Tales for more heartfelt, emotional, and inspiring stories. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our amazing viewers all around the world. Maya had always been strong, a single mother with a heart full of courage and a son who was her entire world. Life hadn't been kind to her. A failed marriage, mounting bills, and the constant struggle to provide had turned her days into battles. But she never complained. Her little boy Liam was her reason to smile even when the world gave her no reason to. She worked 2 jobs and still came home with barely enough to cover rent. But that month, everything crumbled. The cafe where she worked shut down overnight, and a sudden rent hike forced her to leave the small apartment she and Liam had called home. They packed their few belongings into 2 suitcases and moved into a friend's garage temporarily. Liam, only 7 years old, didn't understand the full weight of what was happening, but he could see his mother's eyes, the tiredness, the silent worry, and the hunger she tried to hide. Maya pretended she had eaten before he did, claiming she wasn't hungry, while in truth she was saving every bite for him. One morning, after watching her quietly wipe away tears she thought he hadn't seen, Liam made a decision, the kind of decision that only a pure, loving child could make. That afternoon, Maya told Liam she'd go out to look for work again and would be back soon. Liam nodded, hugged her tight, and waited for her to leave. Then he looked at his little red bicycle, scratched, old, but his favorite thing in the world. It had been a gift from his mom on his 6th birthday, something she'd saved months for. He touched the handlebars gently and whispered, "I'll fix this, Mommy, I promise." Then, without hesitation, he wheeled the bike out of the garage and started walking toward the main road. The sun was dipping low as a distant rumble echoed down the street. A group of bikers, 6 of them dressed in leather jackets and helmets, were riding by. Their engines growled, loud and intimidating, as they slowed at a red light. Liam ran toward them, waving his small hands desperately. "Please stop," he shouted. The bikers glanced at each other, confused. Their leader, a tall man with a thick beard and kind blue eyes named Jack, pulled over. "Hey kid, what's wrong?" he asked, kneeling down. Liam held out his bike and said, "Please buy my bike. My mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days. I just want her to have food." The words hit Jack like a punch to the chest. The other bikers went silent. None of them expected this. A tiny boy standing in the golden light of sunset, tears in his eyes but courage in his voice. Jack looked at the rusty little bike and then at Liam's trembling hands. He asked gently, "What's your name, little man?" "Liam," he said. "My mommy's name is Maya." Jack swallowed hard and said, "How about you take us to your mom, Liam?" The boy nodded eagerly and led the way back to the garage. When Maya saw the group of bikers pull up outside, she froze in alarm. She rushed out, wiping her hands on her worn jeans. "Liam, what did you do?" she gasped, her voice shaking. Jack stepped forward, his voice calm and respectful. "Ma'am, your boy here just tried to sell us his bike so you could eat. We couldn't just ride away after hearing that." Maya's eyes filled with tears instantly. She covered her mouth, unable to speak. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, embarrassed. "He shouldn't have—" Jack gently interrupted. "Don't apologize. You raised a boy with a heart bigger than most grown men." The bikers looked around the small, dim garage, a mattress on the floor, a few old boxes, and a blanket draped over a broken chair. It was clear how hard things were. Without another word, one of the bikers walked to their motorcycles and came back with a bag of food from their last stop. Another took off his jacket and gave it to Maya. Jack reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and placed a few $100s in her hand. "This isn't charity," he said softly. "This is what good people do for each other." Maya broke down, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know how to thank you," she whispered. Jack smiled. "You already did. You raised him." Days later, the bikers returned, not just with food this time, but with tools, furniture, and a sign of hope. They helped fix up the garage into a livable space, painted the walls, and even arranged a small surprise for Liam, a brand new bike. The boy's eyes lit up brighter than the sun. Maya could only stand there, her heart bursting with gratitude, watching strangers become family. Word spread around the neighborhood about what had happened, and soon people began offering Maya small jobs in support. Jack helped her get in touch with a friend who owned a diner. Within a week, she was back to work, this time in a place where she felt valued. The bikers often stopped by on weekends just to check in, bringing laughter and noise wherever they went. What began as an act of desperation had become the beginning of something beautiful. Maya's life slowly transformed. She saved enough to move into a small apartment again, and Liam never forgot that day. Every time he saw a biker on the road, he waved, not because they bought his bike, but because they gave him and his mother something priceless: hope. One evening, as they watched the sunset together, Maya whispered, "You saved me, Liam." The boy smiled and said, "No, Mommy, you taught me how." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grateful Tales. Tell us in the comments, what would you do if a stranger showed you unexpected kindness? Your story might inspire someone else today.